Money coming?
Great afternoon, Suzanne. How are you today, my dear?
I am very well, Taria. How are you?
I am doing absolutely wonderful. We are in the final countdown. One more day to unleash the power of your story live masterclass. Wow.
Yes, it is, and I am so looking forward to delivering that training. So yeah, it's gonna be a good time.
Yeah. And today I thought it would be very fitting because we've been doing our fireside chats from what last week, a week and a half now, and we have managed to pull out some really amazing topics and conversations. So I thought it would be fitting today, just before we do our masterclass tomorrow evening, is to kind of recap some of the highlights, some of the key points that we've covered and give our super achievers the opportunity to jump in, ask questions, whether they are catching us live or catching us on the replay. And then once again, continue to encourage everyone if they have not secured its seats yet. So before we get into it today, let me just do true fashion. Let me just ask our super achievers if they are tuning in and they are joining, let us know where they are watching from today. We always like to know where our super achievers are hailing from. And so let us know where you're watching. Let us know who you serve in your business and how you serve. And then also how we can connect with you. And then I also want to give a shout out once again to our members in our Storytelling for Super Achievers Facebook community. And so once again, we have some new members that have joined us over the past week. So welcome. One of the things that I've asked our super achievers to do, the new members, is to drop a video, Suzanne, and let us know who they are, what they do, how they serve, but do it in video format. And so I did see a couple people mention that they will do that in video, but I'm still waiting. So this is just a reminder for them to do that. And then, like we said, today we're just taking a moment to do a recap of all of the conversations that we've been having for the past week. So the floor is open for everyone. If they still have questions about speaking, about storytelling, or even some of the things that's going to happen and be covered on a live masterclass, this is the time and the opportunity for you to do so. And then also go ahead and share this live stream out with another super achiever who you feel or you believe might be able to benefit from the conversation. So once again, our masterclass is happening tomorrow evening, which is Thursday, May the 16th. 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And you can register by going to UTP Live. No, I'm sorry, UTP Masterclass Live. .com. So once again, it's utpmasterclasslive.com. And I'm just going to make it super easy and I'll drop it in the comments below the video.
Fantastic. Well,
Yeah.
I think I want to just jump in and talk a little bit about the fact that speaking is one of the top skills of all leaders and all successful
Mhm.
people. If you're not speaking and presenting and getting your voice into the marketplace, you definitely want to consider that. And just to be clear, whenever we talk about public speaking, most people think of stages, they think of big stages. I think the first real point I want to drive home that we talked about this week was we're talking about speaking where you stand. And what I mean by that is no matter what you do as an entrepreneur, as a coach, a consultant, an author, a teacher, a trainer, you are going to have to interact and engage with people. And being able to hold your own and confidently carry a conversation, present, stand up in a boardroom and talk and speak even to a small group is key. So when we're talking about speaking and storytelling, we're talking about being able to command the room, whether that be one person, whether that be 1,000 people, and do it confidently. So I think I want to just lay the groundwork because I know sometimes when we're talking about public speakers, there's people who go, "Oh yeah, that's not me. I own a small I don't have to do that." And this is one of the best ways to get seen, to get recognized, to get to put your brand into the marketplace, to make your mark, allow people to know what's unique about you, what your style is, what your personality is, all those important things that differentiate us from
Mm.
everybody else.
Yeah, and absolutely. And I'm piggybacking because I know definitely there was a time, in my entrepreneurial journey where I kind of disqualified or discounted myself by saying the words, I'm not a speaker.
Yeah.
And I called myself everything else but. But one of the things that I too had to learn that if I wanted my business to grow, if I wanted to be able to get in front of more people, and even be seen as the expert and get in front of not just everybody or anybody, but the right fit clients for my business, that it required for me to be able to speak. It required for me to be able to communicate. I love the word that you use all the time, which is enroll people on the possibilities of having an idea of transformation, on how they could make it to their next step. And so I too had to, pick up that challenge and put all of these things that I've learned in Unleash the Power of Your Story, apply it to my life and also apply it to my business as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the second thing that I would be really key to highlight is one of the biggest things is that just before we take the stage, how many of you are just nervous? I know I have been speaking for over 10 years, and every time before I command the stage, I get nervous. Heart is racing. I try to say I'm not nervous. I'm excited. I'm passionate about what I'm doing. I feel blessed to be called to do what I do. However, that nervousness and those butterflies, our friend Lethea says, you got to get those butterflies flying in
Right.
formation. How do you do that? So one of the things that we introduce is a concept of having a posture of confidence, and we use a 10-step talk template that we will be introducing tomorrow night that really is effective in helping to let you know what you do from the moment you take the stage until you leave, where to stand, where to look, how long to stand there, how do you start, what questions do you ask, when to tell a story, when to teach your lessons, when to deliver content. All those things are included in that talk template. I know what it did for me, and I know, Cherie, you're going to chime in about what it did for you, but for me, it just freed me
Mhm.
from that doubt I had, from that I don't know what I'm doing, so I'm uncomfortable. And I felt powerful in that at least I knew the steps I needed to take.
Yeah. It's so interesting because, like I said, I too am not a stranger of story or speaking programs. I've been to a couple myself. And the distinction that I think that I've seen between what we do here in Unleash the Power of Your Story and other training programs is that we actually kind of take it a step back. So most programs take it from the point where you're already on the stage. So when you're on the stage, what do you do when you are on the stage? How you are they assume that you already have a story, number one. And it's all about taking that story and getting better, with that story. And like you said, people would say lots of clever things. That anxiety and excitement is still the same emotion, but the brain doesn't know the difference. I can't tell you how many times I've heard that. Well, for someone like me who has been deathly afraid of public speaking, whether you call it excitement or whether you call it anxiety, it feels the same way. It feels like I'm going to pass out. That's what it feels like to me. And so it wasn't until I got introduced to the framework that we're going to share tomorrow night, it gave me more of the backstory. So before I get to the stage, what are some of the things that I need to do before I get to the stage? And then when I get to the stage, what do I need to do to get to the stage to allow me to have that posture? And I think for me, those things were key because they happened even before I opened up my mouth to speak. And so when I start speaking, then I'm in control. I have the posture, and then I have the framework, or I like to call it the the guardrails, okay, to have a very impactful conversation or impactful presentation training, no matter what it is I am doing. And so I think this is so important because This is one of the questions that I think a lot of people who kind of know that they need to speak, Suzanne, but they shy away from it, or they might be like myself in the beginning, say, I am not a speaker, but once again, have a desire to get seen in their business, to get recognized, and ultimately hired and be able to command the fees or command, the results, the money that they're looking for in their business.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think the next thing I want to just summarize is, and again, I have a question, is how many of you are like, I'm not that funny, I'm not that engaging, I'm all about my content, and my presentations feel kind of dry. So common, and we get it all the time, and we see it all the time. We know there's a phrase, death by PowerPoint, death by many things, actually. However, one of the things that we teach, and we will be presenting and just sharing this tomorrow night, is a storytelling structure that shows you how to tell a story that plays like a movie and is designed to take people on a journey and have them become engaged in a conversation. Because we all know that when we're listening to a great story, we get caught up in it. It takes us away. We connect with the characters in it. We empathize with the characters in it. We find that we are cheering for some and not for others, actually. And those are the things that make story work. Well, imagine being able to tell the stories that let the audience know why you are unique, why you are the expert, your journey to success. And you're able to do it in such a authentic, real way that you become engaging. As we know, storytelling is one of the quickest ways to get engaged. So, Taria, I'm going to ask you the question, what did being able to be armed with stories do for your
Mhm.
presentation?
Oh yes, I'm gonna first, share. I definitely was that person who would like stick to the facts. Let's stick to the notes, stick to the training. There's nothing else you need to see here. There's no personal story. There's nothing about Taria that I want to share. And like literally, for me, that was the barrier in between number one, creating influence in the marketplace, also attracting what I like to call divine clients or right fit clients to our business. And I remember when I started working with you, first of all, to discover what my brand story is. Because the story that I thought was the story wasn't the story. So no wonder I was terrified because I'm thinking that I have to find some catastrophic event in my life, some sob story that would have the audience crying and moving them to tears, all of that good stuff. I don't know why, but that was literally my thought. But first, being able to uncover what the true brand story is. And actually going through the work, let me just say this, going through the work to discover that in itself was absolutely amazing because it even brought home to me my why. So I'm just going to say this, I was the person operating in business, and if ask me why, I could tell you the how, I could tell you the why, but when you say, why are you doing this? I had trouble articulating that and putting words to it. So that's the first thing operating, through Unleash the Power of Your Story did for me. And then second, when I started to share that story with people, I have to admit, first, it felt really uncomfortable because I felt vulnerable. And I felt that, if I shared all of the not so great parts of my journey, would people connect with me? Would they still see me as the expert? Would they still want to work with me? And so I had all of those questions running around in my mind. And you said, trust me, you got to go ahead and share the story. And so, as I started to share my story, share my experiences, and share my journey, one of the things I noticed is that people started to say, you know what? Oh my God, thank you for sharing that because that's exactly how I feel. these are the things that I'm experiencing too. These are the things that nobody else talks about on the journey. And so I started to find my people, and that became my differentiator in the marketplace.
And so what you're really highlighting is, in every great story that is worth telling in my mind is that there is a transformation that happens. And a transformation is you started your journey thinking one thing or being one way, and some things happen. And if if you're an entrepreneur, if you're in business, if you are an executive, there's challenge, there's struggles, there's things that stretch you, there's doubt, all those things. Well, it's when we're able to share how we got past those things and the lessons we learned that people become engaged. And people become engaged because they're probably and more than likely struggling in the same place and feeling really isolated. Because I know that when I was in struggle, one was I wasn't telling anybody, and I was in my private world spinning. And it wasn't until I sat down actually with a friend and she shared what had happened for her before she experienced her success. And I was like, oh my gosh, it's not me. I'm not alone. This is a natural part of the journey. And I was able to pick her brain and ask her how to help me. That's the guide. And so a great story earns you the right to be the coach, the mentor, the guide, and builds your credibility and differentiates your brand in the marketplace. So many things that happen as a result. I think the other thing that we really covered and highlighted over the past week was that when you take the stage and when you are able to share great stories and engage an audience, what you're actually doing is you're enrolling them. And oftentimes people are like, I've got to sell my products, I've got to sell my services, I've got to sell all these things. And yes, we are in sales. If you're in any type of business, you are in sales if you're living and you want someone to do what you ask them to do. However, one of the things I have learned that was a game changer was this whole concept of enrollment, which you mentioned earlier. And enrollment is the ability to paint a picture of what is possible for somebody else. Because at the end of the day, when we walk with someone, we really are asking ourselves, what's in it for me here? What is this going to give me? How is this going to move my life, my business, what I want forward? And so what's in it for me when you tell a story and you take the stage and you share and you're able to enroll someone in a possibility for themselves, a big vision idea where they can see themselves having success. Then when you invite them, you make the invitation. For some people, it's the offer to walk with you. It makes total sense because the invitation isn't cold anymore.
Yeah.
They've come to know you, they've come to like you, they've come to trust you, and they come to understand what you're bringing to the table and why you're a credible guide. And I think that is so underestimated and so vital for people to get a yes, for people to be trusted, for people to not just get a purchase, but get a person who is a member of your community. And they're like, I'm with you. I'm hooking my cart to your cart. Where you're going, I'm coming. How many times have I heard, you're not getting rid of me? One of the things that you said to me, and I've heard it so many times. People have gotten to know Suzanne, and then they've got to know what Suzanne does.
Yeah. And like you said, those things are the differentiators. And so a lot of times, I hear it all the time that, people are out there, the first thing that they want to do is they compare my products and services to somebody else's products and services who does something similar. And a lot of times what we don't stop to think of is that we really haven't thought of what the differentiator should be. And the differentiator is your story. The differentiator is your why. And so the more that you're able to communicate that, the more that you're able to show up and let people know, like you said, this is why I do what I do. And this is why I am the person for you, then it makes that decision making for your audience, for your clients, a whole lot easier. And I'm just going to go ahead and reiterate, this is the difference why some people will have like one-off purchases and they're always on the hunt for clients if you're a coach or a consultant in this arena, versus having people who will stay with you long term and actually ask you and prompt you, so when is the next thing coming? We're waiting.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it is such a gift to be able to take people on a journey and know that you are able to deliver. And so I'm super excited for tomorrow evening. I'm excited to share the two templates that we're going to introduce. I'm excited to share what are going to be the benefits of that template. I'm excited to share how this is going to impact your life, your business, build your confidence, have you feel that you're camera ready, as we say, so that whenever you're asked to stand and represent your business or yourself, that you're like, I've got this. And imagine being able to pull out a talk structure and use it because you understand it on a moment's notice and sound credible, sound enrolling, sound like you are someone another person needs to listen to.
Yeah. And it's so interesting because I'm sitting here and I know a lot of people are probably wondering what's the connection between speaking and storytelling and social media. So also in the masterclass, we're going to go ahead and cover the link for the two. And once again, to have you be able to take a look at social media in a different light, because once again, it is a stage. And I know a lot of people don't consider it to be that, but it absolutely is. And so I know I, for one, am excited to be able to not just share my journey, because I'll be sharing that too on the live masterclass, but also give some things, pointers, shifters, things that I've learned as well in the way of social media as well. So I'm super excited.
So we have a jam-packed masterclass. So Turia, let people know how they can register, where they can get it, so they can grab their seat and join us.
Yes. All right. So it's going to be going across the screen in just one moment. There it is. And so once again, if you have not secured your seat, I know some people are just famous for waiting until the very last minute. We understand. We get it. You just want to be absolutely sure that this is for you. We're going to say it's for you. So if you have not secured your seat as yet, you could go to www.utpmasterclasslive.com. So once again, that's utpmasterclasslive.com. Reserve your seat, and we are super excited. We're going to see you tomorrow evening, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
You want to claim your seat because you don't want to miss being in that room.
Yeah. All right. And so, with that being said, Suzanne, it's time for me to go ahead and take care of my last minute preparations for tomorrow.
All right, my friend. I'm ready. I'm ready. Work is done.
All right, guys. See y'all tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.